Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. This one is really exciting. I know there's been a few videos already, but today the brand new NATASHA DENONA I Need a Nude palette. It arrived in the mail today and she is absolutely beautiful. As soon as I saw this on Instagram, I knew that I had to pick it up. I think this has been sold out at Sephora in the US. This was for sale, I think it was yesterday morning at Sephora in New Zealand. When I checked today, it's sold out here in New Zealand as well. So less than 24 hours, it's sold out. This is also available on Beautylish, NATASHA DENONA, and also at Ulta. But I'll make sure that they're still available in those places, and I'll double check at Sephora US in case they have restocked. But all the makeup that I'm putting on my face today and the foundation that I've already got on, including foundation and primer, everything else, that is always listed and linked in the description box below. So I'll just hold her up again. I think the outside packaging is absolutely gorgeous, and I love it that it is that nude color. I think it looks really chic. So here is the gorgeous palette. I think it's really beautiful. I think it's going to be absolutely gorgeous and definitely a palette for my everyday makeup. Now, I haven't swatched this yet. I haven't tried it, but I have taken a couple of photos of it, both in natural sunlight, one that's in indirect sunlight and the other one in direct sunlight. I did that this afternoon. So I'll pop those up here so you can take a look at them. I'll just hold this a bit closer so you can take a really good look, and I'll just turn down the lights a little bit as well. So this is absolutely gorgeous. So there is a mixture of the formulas. There is a new formula by NATASHA DENONA. You've got the cream to matte, the mattes, you've got the foiled shades, and the new formula is what she calls the wet effect. One is the glossy wet effect, and that is the one in warm champagne, and the other two are called the sparkling wet effect. So I'm going to swatch these on my arm. Hopefully I'll fit it all on. I'm going to do smaller swatches, so I'm swatching from left to right and top to bottom. So that is the first one, that is in Stone. Then we've got Whisper, and this is the third one. This is Ella. Absolutely beautiful, and the swatching really good so far. So the next one that I'm going to swatch, this is on the top row. This is the one Vague, and then we've got Travertine. Next is Delilah. It's really, really gorgeous. And the next one is the darkest one in the midi palette. And that one is called, this is Silhouette. So that is Silhouette. Next we have Muse. Wow, that is really gorgeous. These are swatching really beautifully. And the next one I think is probably the lightest in the palette. And that one is Fear. So that is Fear. And then the last one on the second row, that one is Filigree. And then the last row, this one is Wit. And then I'll go into the next shade, and that is Sheen. And for the last three shades, I will swatch them on this arm. I'll just pop them under here. So the next one is, that one is Tender. And then we've got Mesh. And the very last one, that is called, this one is Mia. So again, I'll just zoom in a bit and turn down the lights a little bit. So Stone is a cream to matte formula. Next is Whisper, and that is a metallic, and that's described as a light nude pink. Next is Ella, and that's a sparkling foiled warm fawn. And this one is Vague, and that's a cream to matte formula. It's described as a medium warm dusty rose. Next is Travertine, and that is a metallic soft amber. Next we've got Delilah, and this is one of the new formulas. It's a sparkling wet effect in silver brown. Then the darkest matte shade, this is Silhouette. It's cream to matte formula and it's described as a coffee bean brown. Next we have Muse Sparkling Foiled Champagne. Next we've got Fair. You can only just see it. I've just swatched over it a little bit. And that is cream to matte and that is a light misty rose. This one here is Filigree and that is Sparkling Foiled Medium Neutral Brown. Next is Wit, a matte light warm rose. Then this one is Sheen and that's a glossy wet effect and that's described as a warm champagne. And then the last three we've got a matte, this is Tender, it's in medium taupe. Next is Mesh, this is also a cream to matte formula in light dusty rose. This is really pretty shade. And the last one is Mer and that's also in the new formula Sparkling Wet Effect and described as an icy pink. So I'm going to do 3 eye looks, one on each eye to begin with, and then for the last look I'm going to do it on both eyes and then I'll pop on some blush and lipstick as well. The blush and lipstick is also going to be NATASHA DENONA ones. So I'm going to take the Sonia G, this is a jumbo blender, and I'm going to go into the shade Fair. And I'm going to pop this all over my lid. This is actually quite light. I thought it might match my skin tone, but it's actually a bit lighter. And I really like these shades because you can put other ones over the top to give them a different colour. But this is going on really beautifully. Then I'm going to take the classic crease and I'm going to go into this shade Wit. Now this is described as a rose, but it almost looks a little bit peachy, and it looks a little bit peachy on the lid as well. So I'm going to put that through the crease and also blend that up. Now again, this is blending really beautifully. Then I'm going to take the Blender Pro and I'm going to go into the shade Vague and I'm going to pop this on the outer corner. Now this actually goes on a little bit softer than I thought it would, so I'm just going to dip back into that shade again and just go over. I'm going to take the rephr number 3. I'm going to stay with that shade Vague, and that's the one that I'm going to just run under my lower lash line. Then I'm going to take the rephr number 28 and I'm going to go into this shade here. This one is Sheen and this is described as, this is the new formula and it's a glossy wet effect and it's a warm champagne. So I'm going to put that over the rest of my lid. This is really pretty. Now I'm sure if you wet the brush as well, you'd get even more impact, but for me that really just does the job, and I do like the formula of this and I think it looks really beautiful on the eye. I'll just go over it just again just to get a little bit more of an impact. And I think I'm going to put this shade on my lower lash line as well. I'm just going to wipe down my rephr 3 brush and go into that same shade, Sheen, and I'm going to run that under the lower lash line just through here. And I've also just put a little bit in a corner as well. Now I am going to go into the deeper shade, that's the one Silhouette, and I'm going to run a little bit of this on my lower lash line as well, just through here. And I'm also going to use the shade as a liner on my upper lash line as well. And I will be using that shade on this eye. The reason is mainly because, well, one, her formulas usually work really beautifully as eyeliner, but two, I've also got to wash this off for my third look. So now I'm just going to stay with the rephr number 3 brush, and I'm just going to run this over my upper lash line and keep it as close to my lashes as I can, and this works really beautifully as a liner. Then I'm just going to take Sonia G, this is a soft definer, and just go over just my lower lash line here just to soften out the shade a little bit. And so now I'm just going to grab a clean fluffy brush and just blend it all through. So this is a fairly soft look, and this is something that I'd wear for my everyday makeup. I think that this palette too, you could really amp it up for and wear it for evening as well, and that's probably what I'll do for my third and final look. So this one is just using really the softest shades, but I think it looks really beautiful. Now I will put mascara on this once I've done the second eye. So I've just wiped down my brushes, and now I'm going to start off with this shade here. This is the one Stone, and I'm going to put that all over the lid, take that through the crease, and I'll go up a little bit higher on this eye, I think. Then we'll take the rephr number 14, and I'm going to go into the shade. This is the one called Tender, and just start building this up a little bit. So I'm going to take this one through the crease and just take it slightly above as well. And then using the rephr 3, I'm going to stay with the shade Tender, and I'm going to run this under my lower lash line. And then I'm just going to go into the shade again, this one Tender, and I'm just going to add just a little bit more just to the outer corner through here, and just build up the shade just a little bit more. Instead of going straight into that shade silhouette, I'll use that more in my third and final look. But this shade here, that does build up really, really beautifully. Now I'm going to go into the shade Delilah. This is Sparkling Wet Effect shade, so this is another one with the new formula. So I'm just going to just pat that on. Gosh, the shade this is really beautiful. What a gorgeous shade this one is. And then I've just wiped down the rephr 3, and I'm going to stay with that shade Delilah. Now it does look like you may get a little bit of fallout, but if you just go carefully into the pan and just tap off the excess and then just place it fairly carefully, the fallout shouldn't be too bad. I've got a couple of extra little sparkles there, but nothing too major. But I imagine if you went in fairly hard in the pan and started swiping it round, you probably would get a lot more fallout. But I am in love with that shade. I think it's really beautiful. So again, I'm going to go into the deeper shade here and just use it to just give some definition. And again, just pop a little bit on the lower lash line as well, just through here. So I've just popped a little bit of mascara on. So here is look number 1. And number 2. So look number 1 is a little bit softer than look number 2. I intend to really amp it up with look 3. Out of them both, I actually prefer this one. I think the shade Delilah is absolutely gorgeous, and I think you could just use it as a one and done, and then use the darker shade as your liner, throw on some mascara, and it would look absolutely beautiful. I think that these perform really beautifully. I love that new Sparkling Wet formula. I think it looks really gorgeous. As I said, I've got a tiny bit of fallout. You just need to go a little bit easier with it. And then there's a lot of people as well that put on their foundation after they've done their eyes. I just put my foundation on first. I always have. It's just something that I do. So there are a couple of little sparkles here and there, but nothing major when it comes to the fallout. Just got to go a little bit easy. So now I'm just going to wash this off, and then I'll be back and do the third and final look. So now I've got a clean slate again, and I've wiped down my brushes. I'm going to take the Sonia G, the Classic Crease, and I'm going to start off again with this shade Stone, and I'm going to put this all over the lid, and I'm going to take it up quite high as well. Then I'm going to take the rephr number 3, which is wiped down as well, and I'm going to stay with that shade, and I'm going to run this under my lower lash line. You can hardly see it, but I will be building up with a different shade. So I'm going to take the Sonia G, this is the builder, and go into Silhouette. And going to pack this in the outer corner. I am going to blend this up as well, but I'm just going to start off with that amount. I'll put some on the other lid as well, and I think also what I'll do, I'll have to get a smaller brush, but I'll put some of this darker shade just in through there as well. Now I may need to add a little bit more. I'm now going to take the rephr 14 just to blend this out and take it quite a way above as well, because I really want this shade to show. So I'm just going to go in using the rephr 14 into the Silhouette shade, and I'm going to add a little bit more. And then staying with that shade, taking the rephr 3 brush, and I'm going to put this on my lower lash line. I'm going to take it right across, and I might need another brush just to soften it out, but I'll just see how this looks first. Then I'm going to take the Sonia G, this is the flat definer, and I'm staying with this shade, the one Silhouette, and I'm going to put some of that through here and take it above here as well. I'm just going fairly carefully. I sort of want to take it just through to here, and I think I will put that shade Mer in the middle. I'm going to take my Untitled brush, go into the shade Mer. This is that sparkly wet formula, and this is described as an icy pink, and I'm going to put that in the middle, and I'm going to take a little bit of it up through here as well. Now I'm just going back to the soft definer brush and just blend out the shade just on my lower lash line just a little bit. And then I've just wiped down the rephr 3, and I'm going to go into the shade Whisper, and I'm going to put that just through here just to lighten it up a little bit in here, and I'll also run it under here as well. Now I think that middle shade, the one Mer, looks really beautiful just like it is, but I've just wet down the brush, and I'm going to go over that again and just see if that sort of takes it up just another level. So I'm just going to go fairly carefully, and yes, definitely by wetting the brush you do get more payoff, and you really get that wet look. Then I imagine you get the same look just using your finger as well. So this is definitely an evening look, and I am going to add some eyeliner. I'm going to use a NATASHA DENONA one, so I'm going to pop that on, some mascara, and then when I come back I'll put on blush and lipstick. So now I'm going to go into the Natasha Denona. This is the My Dream Cheek Trio, and this is beautiful. I'm going to use the new Sonia G brush. This is the Sheer Buffer, and I go into this shade first, and I'm just going to put that all over, and then I go over with this shade here. So now I'll go into this shade here. I don't want to put too much on because this is a very bold eye look, and when I do a bold eyeshadow, it's not that often, but when I do, I like to go lighter on the cheeks and lighter on the lip as well. Then I've got the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude lip crayon. And finally, the My Dream lipstick. This is a really beautiful shade. So here is the final look. And this is definitely a bold eye look for me. And for me, this isn't my everyday makeup, but it is something I would wear out going to dinner in the evening. I think it is beautiful. I love this palette. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I knew I was going to love it when I saw it. Like I was saying, I've got quite a few Natasha Denona palettes as well as the Glam one, and I do use that a lot as well. But this is absolutely gorgeous. The new wet formula that she has, I think works really beautifully. I think that this one that I've got in the middle here, this icy pink, is absolutely stunning. It goes on beautifully without wetting the brush, but as you saw, when you do wet the brush, you do get that. It just gets more of an amped up look. These blended really beautifully. I didn't have any issues. There's no patchiness. And although once you start going, you really amp up the look, you're always going to see texture on your eyelids, especially with mature eyelids. But I don't think it looks too bad. And for a really bold look for me, I think it looks really lovely. And like I was saying, I'd definitely wear this out for the evening. I think it's really beautiful. I just tend to keep the blush fairly soft and lipstick fairly soft when I have a bold eye look like this. The eyeliner that I used was the Natasha Denona one. I think I did say that. And this is the one in brown. You can see how small it is that I do use this eyeliner quite a lot. I find once it goes on, it stays put and works really well with my oily lids. Now I have seen a couple of videos using this really beautiful palette. One is Heba S, and she has darker skin tone. So if you'd like to see how this palette looks on a darker skin tone, that is a great video to watch, and she does 4 different really beautiful eye looks. The other video that I looked at, that was actually earlier today, and that is Keep Beauty Real, and she titled her video I Need a Dupe. And what she did is swatch shades. She didn't have the palette, she just shows a picture of the colors of the palette, and then she used a whole lot of Sydney Grace eyeshadows. So if you have a lot of Sydney Grace shadows, which are absolutely beautiful, that video is definitely worth a watch. And if you have those shades, you may not want to pick up this palette. And those 2 channels that I just mentioned, I will have those in my description box below. So if you want to take a look, you just have to click on that link. But overall, just really gorgeous. I'm thrilled that I picked it up, and I'm glad I got it before it sold out in New Zealand. I thought this was going to be really popular. And as I was saying earlier in the video, this is definitely something I'm going to be reaching for with my everyday makeup. It is absolutely gorgeous. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.